What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was the King of Kryptonians Part 8. Now, let's begin. Thanatos' allies issue a battle cry and move forward towards Naruto. Numerous adversaries, including underworld gods, entities, titans, underworld spirits, and hecatonkairos, sought to claim Naruto's life. Despite facing thousands of adversaries, Naruto maintained his composure and wore a confident smile. It was evident to all the deities that Naruto faced a significant disadvantage. While he may hold the title of God King, Naruto's circumstances are quite challenging due to the multitude of adversaries he faces. Even a figure as powerful as Zeus would struggle to overcome all these entities without sustaining damage. However, Naruto was not akin to Zeus. As the initial adversary approaches Naruto's attack zone, the king of the gods unsheathes his sword with authority. A tremendous force embodying the essence of fire and life emerged from the blade of Olympus, vanquishing all lesser spirits and deities of the underworld. Naruto is aware. He perceives multiple minor divinities converging upon his blade. Naruto swiftly dispatched all weaker adversaries with a single, precise sword strike. Hecate and Thanatos regarded the display of power with disapproval. "He has become stronger," Thanatos stated. "This is not a significant concern." Hecate spoke with intensity, and soon she began to summon additional spirits from the underworld. Naruto observes the spirits before turning his attention to Hecate. Hecate experienced significant pressure as she sensed Naruto's gaze upon her. "Please be cautious." Thanatos forcefully displaced Hecate. Hecate is displeased by the treatment she has received. However, upon observing the area where she once stood, she notices the space being altered by a blade's incision. She gazes at Naruto, perceiving him as the king of the gods, albeit with a hint of annoyance on her face. A titan attempts to launch an attack on Naruto, taking advantage of his momentary distraction. However, shortly thereafter, his vision became distorted, and the head of another titan descended upon Mount Olympus. Maintain your vigilance, Hecate. Naruto holds the title of king among the gods across two pantheons. Thanatos issued a warning. He is fully aware of the nature of the threat he has posed. It is of no significance. Hecate let out another dismissive snort. She clasped her hands and began to articulate in an unfamiliar language. Subsequently, the titans who had perished in battle began to ascend as if reanimated. Although he possesses great strength, his divinity is not limitless. Eventually, he will reach a point of fatigue. Naruto narrows his eyes upon witnessing the titans he defeated re-emerging as the undead. Then he casts a cold glance at Hecate. He has prioritized the elimination of Hecate. When he prepares to take action against Hecate, Naruto swiftly evades an assault from hecatonkairos, maneuvering through the air while avoiding the strikes of these formidable creatures. Those arms present a challenge. Let's consider reducing them. With a powerful surge, Naruto advances towards a hecatonkairos, skillfully wielding the blade of Olympus with remarkable speed. The severed arms of hecatonkairos began to descend to the ground. Hecate smiled. "I can utilize the souls of the deceased as a source of energy. This conflict. We have already triumphed." She gestures with her hand, and shortly thereafter, the lesser gods who perished by Naruto's blade begin to re-emerge. However, she observes that these gods are significantly diminished in strength compared to their former selves. "That sword is quite bothersome. That individual." Rhea expressed her frustration vehemently upon witnessing her brothers being resurrected as undead. The deities are taken aback upon witnessing Rei's curse. Ultimately, she had not engaged in that activity before. "Please provide the information." Hades made a sudden entrance before all the goddesses. He was adorned with golden blood. It was evident that he had vanquished numerous deities. He extends his hands, and shortly thereafter, the souls of the gods manifest. Even though he is no longer associated with the underworld, he maintains significant connections to it. Managing multiple minor deities is a straightforward task. Ultimately, their strength is not as formidable as it may seem. "What is your decision?" Hades inquired in a detached manner. It was evident that he was referring to Naruto's request. The goddesses felt a sense of intimidation from Hades' expression. While he did not appear physically strong, his demeanor was undeniably imposing. "I support Naruto." Hera addressed with a composed smile. Hades gazes into Hera's lifeless eyes and acknowledges her presence with a nod. Naruto provided assistance and showed compassion towards my father. I will stand alongside Naruto. Meiti communicated. I will support Naruto. Nyx spoke in a detached manner. Nyx's decision took all the gods present by surprise. Why? Gaia inquired of her sister. However, Nyx chose to remain silent, maintaining a composed smile on her face. Hades observed Gaia, Artemis, Athena, Aphrodite, and Rhea. Perceiving Hades' attention, the goddesses exchanged glances, as though they had reached a silent consensus, but before any action could be taken, Aphrodite interjected. I support Naruto. She approached Hades with a smile, her pace measured and deliberate. At this moment, the goddesses came to the realization that they had been betrayed. They had reached a prior consensus to betray Naruto for the benefit of Olympus, yet it was evident that their true motivation lay in their ambition for the throne of Olympus. As a result, they reached this agreement. There is no need for you to provide any information. I am already aware of your response. Hades addressed the assembly. Please hold on. I will be alongside Naruto. Rhea expressed her concerns with urgency. Hades raises a hand in a stopping motion. It's too late, mother. You have selected your path. What is the next step? We hold a differing opinion on Naruto. However, what criteria will you use to evaluate us? Your strength is insufficient. Artemis spoke with authority. Hades replied with a smile, who claimed I intended to take any action. He gazed at the sky. As the goddesses gazed at the sky, they observed Fyora soaring at remarkable speed in their direction. At this moment, Gaia observed Nyx, as the embodiment of the night. Nyx possesses the ability to conceal her presence as if she were an integral part of the universe. She possesses the ability to observe any location in the universe without detection. If the adversary lacks the means or powers to sense Nyx's presence, they will remain unaware of her watchful gaze. Nyx possessed comprehensive knowledge. Did this influence her decision to be with Naruto? Incorrect, she seems indifferent to that. She likely believes it would be more engaging to associate with Naruto. Gaia attempted to discern the meaning behind Nyx's actions. However, despite their status as entities and sisters, Nyx seldom engaged with Gaia. As the mother goddess of Earth, Gaia finds it challenging to comprehend the significance of Nyx's behavior. Artemis gazed into Phora's icy blue eyes. Fear was the sole emotion she experienced upon seeing Fyora. Artemis could distinctly perceive Phora's anger and her unwillingness to forgive the traitors at this moment. Phora's flight speed accelerates, and shortly she surpasses the speed of sound. Unfortunate. I was meant to stand alongside Naruto. That would have afforded me the opportunity to strategize my revenge. That was Artemis' final thought before she was beheaded by the harp wielded by Fyora. Fyora lifts the goddess's head and rises, declaring, "Who will be next?" Fyora regarded the treacherous deities with a steely gaze. The deities readied themselves to confront Fyora. However, the Queen of Olympus had different priorities in mind. She diverts her focus from the gods and observes Naruto, who is engaged in combat with multiple adversaries simultaneously. Upon witnessing Naruto's divine form, Fyora experienced a powerful sensation in her heart, reminiscent of having encountered this image on multiple occasions before. The depiction of Naruto engaging in battle against multiple adversaries prompts her to reflect on Gaia and recall the entity's words. Recollection. A few days prior to Naruto's awakening, Fyora occupied the throne of Olympus. She maintained a composed expression, contemplating the various strategies and influences she needed to employ to reach her objectives. She is fully aware that acquiring new territory through invasion often leads to significant conflicts. Although Naruto emerged victorious in the war, it does not imply that the gods are content. They are likely to rebel, and she is completely certain of this outcome. Suddenly, the grand doors of the Palace of Olympus swing open. Fyora composes herself and regards the intruder with a steely gaze. She was confident that she had instructed Hades that no one was to enter this place without her authorization. However, even in that instance, someone disregarded the directive she personally communicated, which underscores a significant point. The deities do not regard me as a figure of authority. Phora's brow furrowed at the thought, yet her expression quickly reverted to a composed, neutral demeanor. A striking woman with an elegant figure, adorned in a Greek dress, approached Fyora with poise. holding a long golden staff in her hands. She possessed long green hair and an air of sophistication. On this woman's face, there was a constant, warm smile. It was the kind of smile that a mother offers to her children. Phythana, the deity representing cold, ice, and death. It is a pleasure to encounter you among the living once more. The woman spoke in a tone that was both suggestive and laced with sarcasm. Fyora expressed discontent upon hearing the manner in which the goddess addressed her. As a prospective queen, Naruto imparted all the essential knowledge required for her education. As a result of this training, she is aware of the goddess being referenced by this woman. Phythana is a Kryptonian goddess, serving as the antithesis to Naruto. She represents a chilling demise. She was also Rao's beloved. Regrettably, the goddess was fixated on creating entities designed to annihilate Kryptonians. As a result, Rao took the drastic step of ending the life of his beloved. This narrative was widely recognized thousands of years ago. However, with technological advancements, it has faded into obscurity among the collection of stories. There is limited information available regarding Phythana. However, it is understood that she is a goddess who stands in contrast to Rao. Although she was quite different from Rao, she was nonetheless cherished by him. Fyora engaged in deep contemplation. Fyora expressed curiosity and sought to understand the identity of this goddess. Fyora grasps the blade of Olympus that lay beside her. The moment her hands touch the blade, she comprehends the identity of the goddess before her. Or more accurately, the entity that stood before her. Gaia, the embodiment of our planet. Fyora spoke in a composed manner while her sapphire blue eyes met Gaia's green eyes. "How may I assist you?" Fyora inquired with a chilling demeanor. "I do not require anything." Gaia smiled and stated, "I simply wished to pay you a visit." Fyora focused intently. "Did you disregard a directive I personally issued, simply to arrange a visit with me?" "Indeed, I was interested in witnessing the reincarnation of a former acquaintance." Gaia spoke with a confident smile. "Oh." Fyora wasn't a fan of this wordplay. "Is it because you call me Phythana? I'm not really that goddess." "Yeah, you're not quite that goddess yet." Gaia gave a warm smile. "Really, still?" Fyora squints her eyes. She's not a fan of it, so she rises from her throne and strolls slowly over to Gaia. "Can you tell me more about that?" She spoke with a chill in her voice as she held the blade of Olympus against Gaia's neck. Gaia kept her smile and said, "No need to threaten me. This is an old story. Do you want the short version or the long one?" Here's the quick rundown. Gaia's smile falters a bit. She was eager to share a long story, but she kept her composure. To sum it up, if there's a Rao in the universe, then there must be a Phythana. She really is the complete opposite of life and fire, which are the divine qualities that Naruto embodies. Phythana always comes back as Naruto's beloved woman. Well, that's just how it goes for these two gods. She shared her thoughts. They're meant to love and hurt each other. That's a pretty tragic fate, don't you think? She talked with a smile. Got it? Fyora took the blade of Olympus away from Gaia's neck. This story is just nonsense. What is going on? Gaia just couldn't wrap her head around it. I'm Fyora, and I'm married to Naruto. I'm not really the goddess you're thinking of. Fyora spoke in a chilly manner. Even if I am Phythana's reincarnation, I will always love Naruto. I would never hurt him. He really means the world to me. Gaia raises her eyebrows, looking a bit surprised. Looks like this reincarnation has a bit more willpower than the last one, she thought. Fyora strolls over to the throne, takes a seat, and glances at Gaia with a smirk. So, if you're just here to chatter away, I've got a little task for you. What am I going to work? Gaia was taken aback by what she was hearing. Like, a primordial entity actually going to work? She never even considered that. Absolutely. Looks like you don't have anything going on, huh? Why don't you lend a hand to your new queen? She spoke in a way that made it clear there was no room for saying no. Oh man. Gaia glanced at Fyora and noticed the Queen of Olympus smiling with a chill. She felt a twinge of regret for coming to this place. And that's a wrap on the flashback. Looks like it's time to make some decisions. Fyora spoke in a calm manner. She just doesn't care about what Gaia has to say. Whether it's Phythana's reincarnation or not doesn't matter to her. Fyora really only cared about Naruto and the Kryptonians looking for a new place to call home. She really doesn't have time to deal with a delusional goddess who's basically the same age as Earth. Fyora crushes Artemis's head that she was holding and flings it towards Athena. Athena takes her spear and slices Artemis's head into pieces. She didn't have a moment to feel sorry for a goddess who had fallen. She has to survive. She has to take down that monster that's approaching her. Without the blade of Olympus, you really aren't anything to worry about. Athena let out a snort and lunged at Fyora with her spear, a satisfied smile spreading across her face as she realized it was on target for Fyora's head. But then, something unexpected happened that left Athena in shock. Fyora gives a little smile, and just like that, her image vanishes. "So, you're really proud of a goddess who's been through a couple of wars, huh?" She spoke in a chilly tone that made Athena feel a shiver run down her spine. Cough. Athena coughs up golden blood and glances down, realizing the blade of the harp has pierced her stomach. Whoa, when did she sneak up behind me? Are all Kryptonians as fast as Naruto? Athena wondered to herself, feeling a bit confused. She was certain she had hit Fyora's head. "I've spent my whole life on the battlefield, but you fought a bit and then took it easy for the rest of the time. You got a bit weak." She leans in and whispers in Athena's ears. You really don't know anything about me." Athena let out a mighty roar. Fyora gives a little smile and pulls the harp out of Athena's stomach. Athena let out a cry of pain. As Fyora heads to behead Athena, the ground around Mount Olympus starts to tremble. Out of nowhere, the earth wraps around Athena like a cozy cocoon, almost like it's looking out for her. Fyora is about to slice through the rocks to take out Athena, but something tells her to be careful. Danger is lurking. With a burst of energy in her feet, Fyora zooms up into the sky. Soon, she noticed the land around Mount Olympus shifting as if it had a life of its own. Right in the center of it all stood a goddess with green hair, holding a golden staff that glowed with a vibrant green light. "I really didn't want things to turn out this way, but it feels like there's no other choice. I just can't stand by a god who harms my children," Gaia mentioned. She looked really serious. Behind Gaia stood Rhea, looking pretty down, and Athena, who had a hole in her stomach that Gaia was working on healing. Little by little, the earth starts to shield the traitor goddesses and gods who are still around, making it so that Gaia is nowhere to be found. Fyora takes in everything with a calm perspective. "My queen, don't underestimate Gaia. Even though she isn't a fighter, she's still a key player." Hades showed up next to Fyora and gave her a heads up. Nyx and Métis show up with Fyora. "Nyx, do you think you could take her out?" Fyora inquired. "Sure, I can do that. She really has to get off Earth. As long as Gaia is here, she can't be touched." Nyx spoke in a chilly manner. Fyora nodded at Nyx's words and asked, "Got any advice, Métis?" Métis glances at the cocoon that Gaia made and says, Gaia really is a bit of a coward. She won't reveal herself unless she's certain she'll come out on top. You need to draw her into a trap." "Got it." Fyora begins to ponder over all the cards she has right now. Out of nowhere, Fyora lifts her hands toward Gaia and says, "I, Fyora, Queen of Olympus, declare Gaia a traitor and take away all her divinity." She spoke in a way that felt powerful, using her authority as a queen. So, nothing really happened. The power of the queen and king of Olympus is pretty handy, but it really only matters if you're near the target. Métis shared their thoughts. She used to have that authority back in the day too. "Sure, I get it. But, it never hurts to give it a shot." Fyora chatted as she brought her hands down. She tries to use her X-ray vision to spot Gaia and the goddesses she's protecting, but no luck finding them. Fyora notices that the earth around Olympus is starting to look sharper, almost like the ground has turned into a death trap filled with giant thorns. She raised her eyebrows, feeling a bit curious, but something seemed off. She noticed the pointed thorns on the floor, yet there was something about the whole situation that just didn't add up. Out of nowhere, thorns begin to fly towards Fyora. Fyora quickly dodges the thorns with impressive speed. Hades does the same thing as Fyora. Nyx gently places her hands on Métis' shoulders, and just like that, the two seem to vanish from existence. They're still around, but at the same time, they're kind of not. The projectiles go right through Nyx and Métis, but nothing changes. This was the essence of Nyx. Being the essence of the night, She can blend in so well that anyone lacking power won't even sense her presence. It's like she's in a whole different dimension where she's completely out of reach. Fyora noticed this and wondered, does she have a tricky divinity? Should I get rid of it? Fyora's a bit frustrated with all those thorns popping up from the ground. Fyora's eyes begin to glow red, and suddenly, a beam of red light shoots out from them. A beam of light zapped away all the thorns that were coming at the group. The beam of light went deep into the earth, but it didn't really get very far. The defense of Gaia was really solid, and before long, new thorns began to be created and aimed at Fyora. Fyora made a face when she saw this. This is going to be a problem, she thought while dodging Gaia's attacks. Naruto felt his wife's presence and turned to look at Fyora. She really should have just stayed on the mothership. He had a little smile of satisfaction. Even though he cares about her safety, he understands that Fyora isn't a delicate queen. She actually loves being out there on the battlefield. Make sure to stay focused out there on the battlefield. A lesser god spoke with a hint of arrogance. He pops up behind Naruto and goes for a stab with his sword. Naruto wasn't bothered by the lesser god at all. He just cranked up the heat around him to an insane level. What in the world? As the lesser god approached Naruto, he turned to ashes. After taking on the undead a bunch of times, Naruto figured out the best way to handle these nuisances. He just has to turn the enemies into ash. Out of nowhere, a massive fist comes hurtling toward Naruto. Naruto just sliced off the arm of the Hikaden shears. The monsters let out a painful roar. He sensed a giant coming his way, just as another Hikaden shears showed up. He zooms through the sky, high enough to catch a glimpse of all of Mount Olympus. He gazes at all his foes. Countless lesser gods and spirits from the underworld, titans, and hekatoncheiros. Naruto was feeling pretty bored. It's really annoying when enemies just keep coming back to life. It doesn't matter how often he takes out his foes or how many heads he lops off, they just keep coming back. So, even if he takes out his enemies, that pesky woman just keeps bringing more up from the underworld. He glances over at Hecate, who's being shielded by Thanatos and a few titans. I really need to deal with that woman. I've got to be quick, quicker than anyone else out there. I feel like the speed of sound just isn't cutting it. I want to push beyond that. Naruto's body started to radiate this incredible divine energy. Little by little, that energy started to gather in his body. Hecate notices that Naruto is watching her, and she becomes aware that his power is beginning to gather around his entire body. She began to feel anxious about what kind of attack Naruto might pull off. She began issuing mental commands to the undead she had under her control, then glanced at Thanatos and nodded. The death entity gets what Hecate is saying and then vanishes in a swirl of black smoke. If I want to win this war, I really need to deal with this annoying woman. Naruto was feeling really frustrated. As he started to feel worn out from taking down enemies, Hecate had all the souls of the underworld ready to go. If things keep going this way, the war is just going to drag on, and Naruto will do everything he can to steer clear of that. Naruto lifted the blade of Olympus, and soon blue energy began to radiate from it. A comprehensive assault was imminent. Hecate scoffed upon realizing that it was the identical attack Naruto had executed moments earlier. There was no cause for concern. She considered with a sense of superiority. Naruto swings his sword, and a beam of golden light emanates from it, soaring towards Hecate. Hecate swiftly positions the undead as a shield against the assault and provides defense. An enormous explosion occurred, illuminating the battlefield for an extended period. Numerous undead are eliminated from existence by Naruto's attack. Recognizing her capability to withstand the assault once more, Hecate calls forth additional undead to replenish the numbers that were diminished. As the light from the explosion faded, Hecate swiftly searched for Naruto, only to discover that he was no longer present. Did he run away? She initially regarded it with disdain, but that thought was soon dismissed. Incorrect. He is not lacking in courage. What strategy is he devising? Hecate begins a thorough search for Naruto. She surveys the battlefield in search of Naruto, yet finds nothing. She also does not sense Naruto's divinity. What is occurring? My lady, behind you. A lesser deity cautioned Hecate. However, it was too late. Naruto positioned himself behind Hecate and executed a decisive beheading. The sole consideration for Hecate at this moment was, Persephone, I apologize. I was unable to seek retribution on your behalf. Naruto perceives Hecate's divinity infusing the blade of Olympus, prompting him to incinerate Hecate's body. I hope our paths do not cross again. He observes Hyperion, the Titan of Light. Light is no longer a concern for me. He spoke in a seasoned voice. Certainly. As a master of illumination, he perceives Naruto's actions with clarity. He diverted all adversaries with a massive explosion and advanced at remarkable speed behind Hecate. Utilizing the blade of Olympus, he executed the beheading of the goddess. Hyperion understands that Naruto embodies the essence of the sun and life. However, he did not anticipate that he would wield authority over the lesser deities associated with the sun, fire, and light. The sun illuminates the solar system, providing heat and light essential for life on the most fertile planets. It is evident that Naruto possesses the ability to control light. I was simply unaware of his proficiency in utilizing this divine power. Ultimately, that is not his primary focus. Naruto surveys the battlefield and soon recognizes that all the undead have begun to vanish. He momentarily closes his eyes and attunes himself to his divine energy. I am currently experiencing a lack of energy and would like to expedite this process. He observes the 3 Hecatoncheires. Despite their injuries and the absence of some arms and heads, they appear to be in good health. It was clear that they experienced minimal damage. These entities are unusual. I executed multiple destructive assaults against them, yet they did not perish permanently. I am starting to comprehend why Zeus considered them valuable. They are exceptional instruments of warfare. Naruto observes the remaining titans. Only 4 live titans remained, each exhibiting significant power. He began to consider the most effective strategy for eliminating the titans, as he could not afford to expend additional divine energy. Initially, he believed that this energy was boundless, and he was correct. Faith represents an endless source of energy. As long as he has followers and subordinates, that energy remains inexhaustible. However, the challenge lies in the difficulty of accumulating this energy. Naruto believes he has utilized all his powers, as he has energy stored in his body since his arrival in this solar system. Upon his exposure to the yellow sun, the energy of faith began to develop gradually within him. Titans, Hecatoncheires, and Thanatos. Naruto surveyed the array of adversaries, his gaze also shifting towards Thanatos as he advanced towards Fyora. Naruto vanishes in a golden light and materializes before Thanatos. Let's proceed efficiently. He engages Thanatos using the blade of Olympus. Thanatos is taken aback by Naruto's speed. He promptly conjures a scythe made of bones to protect himself from Naruto's assault. A minor explosion takes place upon the collision of the 2 weapons. Thanatos presents a smile with his skeletal visage. The scythe you possess is merely my sickle-shaped instrument of authority. This is the true scythe, comparable to the blade of Olympus. Naruto offered a slight smile. If it is indeed so powerful, what has prevented you from utilizing it previously? Thanatos remains silent as he initiates an assault on Naruto with the scythe, while Naruto counters with the blade of Olympus. It seems that may not be possible, correct? Naruto positions himself behind Thanatos and launches an attack with remarkable speed. Unexpectedly, Naruto witnesses an astonishing event. Thanatos' scythe begins to move autonomously, providing protection for Thanatos. The weapon demonstrates a responsiveness that surpasses that of its wielder. Indeed, I am unable to do so. The scythe is a formidable weapon, demonstrating a strong sense of pride. It refrains from claiming the lives of weaker adversaries. I utilize my authority as an alternative due to that circumstance. Thanatos addressed with a skeletal smile. You present a significant challenge as an opponent. Naruto remarked with a subtle smile. A self-moving scythe that reacts at a speed surpassing that of light. I sense that a minor incision from the scythe could be fatal for me. This presents a challenge. Likewise. Thanatos expressed some irritation. A god who continually gains strength and rouses lesser deities during combat. Does this deity wield the blade of Olympus? A sword that significantly enhances divine power? This presents a challenge. The deities ready themselves for the impending confrontation, exchanging silent glances. In a decisive manner, Thanatos initiates the action without delay. He assaults Naruto with a concentrated dark energy infused with the essence of death. Naruto skillfully evades the attack. enveloping himself in divine energy before vanishing from sight. He confronts Thanatos and strikes him with the blade of Olympus. Thanatos' scythe swiftly responds to safeguard its master. A collision echoed as the two weapons clashed in midair. Atlas, the titan condemned by Zeus to bear the weight of the skies of Olympus, regarded Naruto with a measured gaze, assessing his worthiness to ascend as the new king of Olympus. He accepted Thanatos' proposal to defeat Naruto for a straightforward reason. He no longer wished to bear the weight of the heavens on his shoulders. He was fatigued and sought a moment of respite. Initially, he believed that Naruto would be a straightforward adversary to overcome. However, the actual situation proved to be quite different from his expectations. Naruto possesses remarkable strength, truly exceptional strength. He possesses few allies, yet his divinity is profoundly weighty and overwhelming. Atlas observes the sword of Olympus, noting that sword enhances Naruto's divinity. However, if the new king of Olympus were unworthy, he would not even be able to lift that sword. The blade of Olympus exhibits a certain arrogance, as it selects only the most deserving individuals to wield its full power. As one of the most established figures of Olympus, he possessed a deeper understanding of the blade of Olympus. Although it was forged by Zeus, the sword gradually developed a sense of awareness over time. Atlas disregards the confrontation between Naruto and Thanatos, focusing instead on the horizon. This conflict has persisted for an extended period, and the newly ascended god king of Olympus is exerting considerable amounts of his divine power. He serves as a guiding light, drawing in all that surrounds him. Hyperion, I have decided to align myself with Naruto. Atlas communicated in a manner that was devoid of emotional expression. Hyperion was taken aback, gazing at his brother in astonishment. Could you please explain the reasoning behind that? As he gazed at the horizon, Atlas remarked, Hyperion, my misguided brother. Are you not sensing it? The intensity of this conflict has drawn the attention of deities from various pantheons. Should we fail to align ourselves and unite under a common banner, we risk the demise of all the deities of Mount Olympus. Similar to the Nordic pantheon, our fate will be sealed. Hyperion and the surviving titans gazed at the horizon in astonishment. They attempted to experience emotions, yet found themselves unable to connect with any feelings. However, despite their reservations, they refrained from challenging the statements made by Atlas, who was once regarded as the strongest titan. Could Thanatos take the lead for us? You have the potential to guide us. Why place your trust in a foreign deity? Atlas observes Hyperion. Naruto is a sovereign deity of two pantheons. With sufficient time, he will attain great strength. Significantly more powerful than the other king gods, he is poised to emerge as an undeniable force within the universe. Atlas regards Thanatos with a steely gaze. I found it unsettling to witness our brethren being exploited as instruments of warfare by Hecate. I am quite certain that Thanatos holds no concern for the Titans. He is determined to claim the throne of Olympus, having been fixated on it ever since Uranos ascended to power. He gazes at his own hands, and I am not worthy to lead Olympus. I am merely a warrior. A warrior in search of a leader. Hyperion bites his lip. If you support Naruto, I will support you, brother. I share the same sentiment. I also share that sentiment. The Titans concurred with Hyperion, viewing Atlas as a figure of leadership. Will Naruto extend his forgiveness towards us? A formidable figure inquired. Atlas displays a subtle smile. Naruto demonstrates a compassionate leadership style, and his treatment of Oceanus exemplifies this. He did not take our brother's life. He merely stripped away his divinity. Naruto made the decision to eliminate his adversaries due to his significant disadvantage. In a battle against thousands of adversaries, one cannot afford to hesitate. He is far from naive. He understood that failing to take decisive action would place him at a significant disadvantage. He possesses the intelligence to act when required, and his actions consistently carry significance. He engages in nothing superfluous. Hyperion and the other Titans opened their eyes in astonishment. They had never witnessed Atlas commend a being with such high regard throughout their entire existence. Thanatos' perspective. From the moment of my birth, I have been invincible. I represented the finality. I served as the ultimate conclusion for all living beings and deities on Mount Olympus. No one dared to challenge me. The only individual with the power to affect me was my mother, Nyx. As the embodiment of the night, She possessed total mastery over death. She was the sole individual capable of taking action against me, and I remained indifferent to that fact. Ultimately, she maintained a neutral stance, refraining from any action and simply observing the events unfold. I refer to myself as Nyx's son, though that designation is not entirely accurate. I came into existence when the energies of two formidable entities converged for a fleeting moment. The energy was that of Nyx. All entities that did not originate from primordial chaos are classified as second-generation entities. I consider myself to be an integral aspect of the energy associated with Nyx and Erebus. Nyx, Erebus, Gaia, and Tartarus represent the fundamental entities, embodying unparalleled strength. I felt a slight envy towards these beings. I desired the power they wield, yet I embraced my own identity. In various mythology texts, Eros is depicted as the primordial entity of love, emerging from the chaos of creation. However, in other narratives, he is portrayed as the son of Aphrodite. For the purposes of this story, I am adopting the interpretation of Eros as the offspring of Aphrodite and Ares. Ultimately, there were only two entities that held a higher position than I did: my mother and the primordial chaos itself. However, a significant shift occurred when Uranos proclaimed himself the king of the gods. His declaration did not alter his strength, but it conferred upon him a distinct authority. The ability to influence the deities of all gods and entities is a formidable one. I recognized the potential risks associated with this authority, yet I also felt a sense of admiration for such power. I desired that power for myself. With that power, I could surpass my mother, Nyx. After thousands of years, I have yet to acquire that power for myself, but I have remained patient. I had multiple opportunities to ascend as the king of Olympus, with my initial opportunity arising when Kronos betrayed his father, Uranos. The second opportunity arose when Zeus revolted against his father Kronos, while the third opportunity occurred when Hera orchestrated a rebellion against Zeus. I encountered numerous opportunities, yet I find myself unable to ascend to the throne of Olympus. It seems as though destiny is indicating that I am not deemed suitable. I was frustrated and began strategizing a movement aimed at dethroning Zeus. However, this deity manifested. Naruto, the deity associated with the sun, warmth, and vitality. He emerged. He was the sole individual capable of achieving something I had desired for centuries. Utilizing the most powerful weapon crafted by an Olympian deity, he triumphed over Zeus and ascended as the new ruler of Olympus. I found it quite intolerable. The throne of Olympus is destined to be claimed by me. I will not permit a foreign deity to ascend as the new ruler of Olympus. With these emotions in my heart, I directed my scythe towards the new king of Olympus. The throne of Olympus is destined to be claimed by me. Sonic booms resonate across Mount Olympus as Naruto and Thanatos engage in an intense battle. The assaults from the two deities were so formidable that, with a single swing of the sword, Naruto could effortlessly obliterate a mountain. Thanatos wielded his scythe with precision, bringing death to a vast expanse of Mount Olympus with a single swing. The plants would perish, the soil would deteriorate, the trees would succumb. All that the scythe came into contact with perished eternally. Despite their intense battle, the two gods remained unharmed. They engaged in combat with caution to avoid being obliterated from existence. As the deity of life, Naruto's inherent qualities oppose Thanatos' domain of death. Thanatos, as the embodiment of death, exhibits significant resistance to Naruto, the deity of life. Typically, Naruto was expected to face challenges in this battle. Ultimately, he does not embody life itself. He is not the essence of existence. As a result, he should not exhibit resistance to Thanatos' death. Ultimately, Thanatos represents the very essence of death. However, the situation transforms entirely when Naruto takes hold of the blade of Olympus. The sword possesses the ability to enhance the divine powers of its wielder. As a result, Naruto's divinity of life was elevated to the status of an entity. Naruto absorbed the power of Helios, the sun entity from Greek mythology. In this process, he elevated his solar divinity, transforming it into a recognized entity. Due to his exceptional talent, he successfully awakened his second primary divinity, which was the divinity of life. He successfully awakened lesser deities associated with the sun, including heat and light. Naruto exhibited extraordinary abilities. The more he engaged in battle, the more he adjusted to his opponent. It was merely a question of time before Thanatos would no longer exist, and the god of death himself was aware of this reality. He recognized that he was not a match for Naruto. "This is frustrating," Thanatos expressed his irritation. "Why don't you cease to exist?" He was becoming increasingly rushed. Even with the perpetual advantage of divinity, he understood that if the situation persisted, his existence would ultimately be terminated by Naruto's blade. Naruto exhibits a subtle smile and readies himself once more. The greater his struggle with Thanatos, the deeper his self-discovery becomes. He is enhancing his ability to manage his divinity and newly acquired powers. What is the reason? What is the reason for this? Why don't you cease to exist? You are a frustrating deity. The throne of Olympus is destined to be claimed by me. Thanatos began to speak softly. He found himself uncertain about the next steps to take. Titans, engage Naruto. He commanded the Titans, yet the Titans remained stationary, observing the conflict. Naruto displayed a subtle smile upon observing the Titans remaining still. "It appears you are by yourself." Thanatos' skull displays an expression of irritation. "Please be quiet. Please be quiet. Please be quiet. You lack the necessary information." Thanatos attempted to command the Hikadanshires, yet the creatures remained unresponsive. They did not take any action. Naruto gazes at the horizon with a composed demeanor for a moment, then shifts his focus to Thanatos with an expression of neutrality. "Your communication is quite extensive." Naruto understood that he was unable to take significant actions. He was aware that his energy was depleting. However, he is pressed for time and needs to conclude this fight promptly. Thanatos' scythe represents a significant threat. It is imperative that he neutralizes that weapon first. "Hello, can you manage this task?" Naruto inquired internally. For a brief moment, the blade of Olympus radiated a blue hue, seemingly in accord, while Naruto displayed a subtle smile. "I have confidence in you." Naruto concentrates on his divine essence. Gradually, he begins to channel all his divinity into the blade of Olympus. During this process, Naruto's appearance began to evolve. He began to return to his previous red hair appearance. This served as evidence that he no longer possessed the ability to sustain his divine form. Thanatos observed this and smiled, but his expression quickly changed upon seeing the blade of Olympus gleaming in gold. Experiencing the intense pressure from the sword, Thanatos inquired, "What actions have you taken?" Naruto remained silent, offering only a subtle smile. "I have confidence in your abilities. I am certain that you can eliminate that scythe." The blade emits a radiant glow, almost as though it is communicating. "Certainly, I can eliminate it." Naruto positions the blade before him, and shortly thereafter, a sonic boom resonates for all to hear. A crash sound is subsequently heard. As he is not in his divine form, he is unable to attain the speed of light. However, the speed of sound is sufficient. Naruto confronts Thanatos and launches an attack. Thanatos swiftly defends himself, yet that is precisely what Naruto intended. He channels all his strength into the attack. An explosion takes place upon the collision of the two weapons. Thanatos recognized Naruto's actions and, with a tone of frustration, stated, "It's futile. My scythe is the most powerful." Naruto disregards Thanatos' remarks and exerts greater force. His eyes began to emit a blood-red glow, and his muscles contracted with significant force. He was exerting considerable strength. "This is ineffective. My scythe is the most powerful." Thanatos let out another piercing scream. He was articulating those words with conviction, yet a sound filled his soul with despair. "A fracture has developed in the scythe." "What is the matter?" Thanatos was taken aback. Gradually, multiple fissures started to emerge in Thanatos' scythe. "I am quite frustrated. How is that possible?" Thanatos expressed his astonishment. Naruto exerts greater effort and determination. He begins to push Thanatos back. "I am quite frustrated. I strongly dislike you, Naruto." In an unexpected turn of events, Thanatos' scythe shatters into countless fragments as the blade of Olympus slices through it, cleaving the god of death in two. What is the inquiry? Unsatisfied, Naruto proceeds to sever Thanatos into multiple fragments. He perceives the divinity of Thanatos infusing the sword. This serves as evidence that the concept of death has been rendered obsolete. However, he disregards all of that and, with astonishing speed, eliminates Thanatos' entire existence. Naruto halts his assault as he coughs blood onto the ground. He gazes at the crimson stain and reflects. It appears that I have pushed my body beyond its limits. I am currently feeling fatigued, yet I remain determined to persevere. He tightened his fist, ready to engage more vigorously if required. With a regal demeanor, Naruto feigns indifference and ascends into the sky. Gradually, he ascends towards the sun. With the sun's image illuminating his figure, he elevates the blade of Olympus and proclaims, "Thanatos is dead." His voice echoed across Mount Olympus. Numerous gods remained indifferent to the sight of Naruto's image. They observed everything unfold. It felt as though they were experiencing a troubling nightmare. "What actions will you take?" He directs the blade of Olympus towards the Titans and Hecatoncheires. "Will you dare to challenge me?" "You will comply." Atlas approaches Naruto with a measured pace. With each stride the Titan made, the ground beneath him quaked. "What actions will you take regarding the traitors?" "I will take appropriate action against them. They have committed a crime. I will assess the situation, and if I find it warranted, I will take decisive action." He conveyed the truth accurately. Atlas acknowledges. "You are not an unwise king. It is evident that following this conflict, another will inevitably arise. The other pantheons are poised to exploit the vulnerabilities of Olympus." Naruto remains silent, offering only a subtle smile. That was one of the reasons he was reluctant to eliminate numerous gods in this conflict. Regrettably, that was not feasible. The Greek gods exhibit a notable degree of self-interest. They are individuals who prioritize their own interests above all else. As a result, it became unavoidable that numerous deities would meet their demise. Upon witnessing Naruto's smile, Atlas comprehended all that was required of him. "I am prepared to pledge my loyalty to you, but I kindly request a promise in return. I kindly ask that you assess my brothers fairly. Many of them engaged in this conflict out of a profound need for freedom." He communicated in an impartial manner. Naruto offers a slight smile. "Atlas, I am a king. I am not a murderer. The individuals who colluded directly with Thanatos will face severe consequences, while those who were merely attempting to survive will receive a fitting reprimand." Atlas just stayed quiet, watching Naruto. Naruto gazes intently at Atlas, placing his hand on his chest as he speaks with a voice that resonates deeply. "I, Naruto, the new god king of Olympus, vow to judge the traitors based on their actions. I'll make a fair judgment that isn't swayed by my feelings." A golden chain wraps around Naruto for a moment before fading away. It's a sign that he's made an unbreakable promise. Atlas smiles slightly, then kneels on the floor and says, "I, Atlas, promise eternal loyalty to Naruto, the new king of Olympus. As long as Naruto is around, I'm here for you, ready to give my all to support your cause." This is a promise that can't be broken. Just like Hades, Naruto could feel a red chain wrapping around him. It was the promise that Atlas had made with him. He just has this gut feeling that if he tells Atlas to die right now, the Titan kneeling in front of him would actually go through with it. All the Titans and gods were just standing there, watching this scene unfold in silence, their mouths hanging open in disbelief. Gaia, tucked away beneath the ground, simply observed everything with a calm gaze. A flurry of thoughts swirled in her mind. Did I make my decision too quickly? Before long, the remaining Titans followed Atlas and knelt down, and the Hecatoncheires joined in as well. Before long, you could catch a glimpse of some mythological beings that would send shivers down the spine of any mortal. All these beings were down on their knees in front of one person. Nope, all these beings were kneeling before a god. Naruto, the new king god of Olympus. Naruto flashes a big smile, then glances at the horizon and spots a bunch of beings invading the territory of Mount Olympus. So, there was this stunning woman standing in front of these beings, with long black hair and golden eyes. She had on a big yukata with a sun symbol on the back. "Wow, it seems like he spotted us. Just what you'd expect from a king god." The woman spoke in a warm, caring way that showed her strength. It was obvious she was the one in charge of these invading gods. "Lady Amaterasu, what do you think we should do?" The sun goddess from Shinto mythology opened up a fan and held it over her face. Right under this fan, it was clear to everyone that she was sporting a big smile. "We're heading over to check out the new king of Olympus. I have to say, I kind of saw this coming. The battle on Mount Olympus was really something to see, even though it happened in such a remote spot. The battle was pretty obvious, and a lot of divine powers were in play. It's hard to believe that the other mythologies didn't notice what was going on, especially since all the pantheons have spies scattered throughout them. Mount Olympus is just the same. As soon as I became the king of Olympus, I found myself with no time to get everything in order across my territory. My wife really took care of everything for me. She even sorted the spies by their confidence levels. She's super capable. I really want to give a shout out to Hades and Nyx for making my wife's job a lot easier as well. Hades' helmet and Nyx's divinity are really handy for spying, and they've definitely shown their worth. Absolutely. I thought the mythologies would show up at Mount Olympus, and I was really hoping I'd have more soldiers to take on these mythologies. I attempted to anticipate different scenarios, but once more, I found myself caught off guard. I get that when you take over a territory by force, traitors pop up like crazy. I just didn't see the Greek gods being so self-centered, you know? It seems like they're more focused on their own interests than anything else, including Mount Olympus. I wasn't able to figure out the personalities of the Greek gods. So, because of that, I ended up in a situation where I had to give it my all, and as a result, I had to cut down on a lot of soldiers that could have been useful in a future conflict. But hey, not everything went south. I found out more about who I am. I got my hands on 2 awesome swords, and my wife turned out to be an empress. I managed to get an eternal oath from the strongest titan of Olympus, and looking at the results, I think I did pretty well. I'm checking out this woman with long black hair, her face hidden behind a fan. She's rocking a super luxurious kimono and has a golden crown perched on her head. I can't see her, but I just know she's smiling under that fan. Wow, I didn't expect the new king of Olympus to be a sun god. Wow, this is such a nice surprise. She spoke with a mix of innocence and pride. I see the guy standing behind the woman. He's got a solid build, long black hair, sharp eyes, and 2 swords hanging at his waist. I squint my eyes for a second. I can sense it. He reminds me of Ares, the god of war, but there's something different about him. His war feels more about protecting his territory, like he's a guardian of sorts. Amaterasu Omikami, the queen goddess of the sun in Shinto mythology. I'm curious, what's your reason for wanting to team up with Mount Olympus? I'm just asking while I chill out and relax my muscles. Amaterasu doesn't say a word. She simply walks over to me. I throw my hands up in a stop gesture when I notice that Atlas is about to do something. Atlas gives a nod and hangs back behind me. I noticed that the guy behind the woman squinted a bit, but he didn't take any action. He looked pretty confident in his queen. Amaterasu glides effortlessly through the air, and I squint a bit at the sight. She's using her divine power like a stepping stone, which seems simple but actually takes an amazing amount of control over that divine energy. She walks over to me and starts circling around. You've got an amazing physique. I can see that your sun god powers are way stronger than mine. Maybe it's because you're the king of 2 pantheons? That's interesting. As she floated around me, it felt like she was sizing me up. Out of nowhere, we all heard this huge sonic boom, and before I knew it, Fyora was right next to me. My husband. She glances at Amaterasu, then surveys all the beings on the horizon and gives a nod to herself. It seems like she got it all without me having to say a word. Honey, what happened to Gaia? I ask, even though I already know she's still hidden. I glance at the god of war, who instinctively touches his sword as Fyora makes her entrance. I was watching, and I really don't want him to hurt my wife. If that happens, I honestly don't know what I'd do. I can't help but feel like war is the only way forward, even though it really doesn't make much sense considering everything that's going on around me. Her defense is really frustrating. I can take a shot at Athena, but Gaia keeps healing her up. She chatted while glancing at Amaterasu, who had paused in her steps. I can feel it. Amaterasu chatted with the fan covering her mouth. I can sense a mix of death and ice in you. It's surprising to think that the god of the sun and life would end up marrying the goddess of ice and death. It's quite a fascinating contradiction, don't you think? I squint a bit when I catch what Amaterasu said, then glance over at Fyora. She gives me a gesture that clearly says, I'll fill you in on what happens next. I nod and glance at Amaterasu, asking, so, what does the Pantheon Queen want with me? Amaterasu closes the fan and smiles like a child who has accomplished something. You know, I'm the queen, but I don't have a king. Being alone can make a queen feel pretty vulnerable, don't you think? She glanced at Fyora and then turned back to me, saying, I came to Mount Olympus because I was curious about the new king. I wanted to find out what kind of god took down that fool Zeus, and I'm really glad I followed that curiosity. She comes up to me and reaches out to touch my chest, and I don't sense any hostility from her. I just don't let her get close. I always step back from her. With a sweet smile, she said while playfully covering her face with her fan, I came here to make a wedding ring for the new king of Olympus. Naruto and Fyora exchange surprised looks when they catch wind of what Amaterasu just said. A tense vibe began to settle in, and the Greek gods quickly turned their gaze to Fyora, eager to catch the queen of Olympus's reaction. So, a goddess just said she wants to marry Naruto, huh? They were really hoping Fyora would be angry. That would have been the best show ever. But what they actually saw just let them down. Fyora glanced at Amaterasu with her usual cold gaze, showing no reaction to the news. She simply raised an eyebrow, a hint of surprise flickering across her face. But then, her expression went back to normal pretty quickly. I'm just wondering, what makes you want to marry me? Naruto asked casually. Amaterasu smiled softly beneath the fan and began to share a story. I've always been the strongest and the ultimate queen. I've always managed to tackle any problems that came my way, and I usually got what I wanted. It was as simple as snapping my fingers, and my servants would bring me whatever I desired. She shuts her fan and gestures towards Naruto. I never had a husband, you know? All the gods I came across just didn't cut it for me, but you. She gave a proud smile. You've got what it takes. Oh. Naruto had a big smile on his face. The second you set foot on Mount Olympus, I felt your presence. A presence so strong that it could take on Mount Olympus by itself. Amaterasu glanced at the sword that Naruto was holding. Sure, you had this amazing artifact backing you up, but let's be real. A strong weapon is pretty useless if the person using it doesn't know what they're doing. Naruto flashed a chilly smile. Wait, didn't you mention you were surprised to see me? Now you're saying you already knew about me? Wait, did I really say that? She opened her fan and playfully hid her face behind it, a small smile peeking through. Naruto slung the sword over his back and said with a calm smile, I already know what you're after. Before I say yes to anything, I'd really like to chat with you properly. We can't have a negotiation here, can we? Naruto glanced up at the sky while saying this, his eyes narrowing for a moment. Just like I knew he would, being the man I chose to marry. Amaterasu smiled a little and then said, Susanoo. Out of nowhere, the clouds in the sky began to darken, and you could hear the rumble of thunder. Then, just like that, a muscular god appeared right behind Amaterasu. My queen, Susanoo gives a respectful bow. Make sure to look after the troops and keep them in their positions. Amaterasu gave a command while glancing at Naruto. Absolutely, my queen. Susanoo responds, glancing at Naruto with a smug grin before vanishing in a burst of thunderous noise. Fyora couldn't see a thing, but Naruto had a clear view of everything. A small smile slowly appeared on Naruto's face. He could already grasp Susanoo's personality. That arrogant smile said it all. If he had to sum it up in a few words, it would be this. Susanoo is an arrogant guy who believes he's the center of the universe, and the only one he respects is Amaterasu. He's definitely a troublemaker, just like the stories say. Naruto was deep in thought. Hachiman. Amaterasu said something. As soon as Amaterasu mentioned the name of the god, Naruto instantly realized who that man was. So, there's this god named Hachiman. He's known as the god of the bow and arrow, and he's also the god of war in Shinto mythology. So, unlike Ares, who was all about conflict and aggression, Hachiman's approach to war is more about defense. This means he's really strong when it comes to protecting someone or a territory. Absolutely, my queen. The guy with Amaterasu spoke really respectfully. Can you help keep me safe? She placed her order. Whatever you desire, my queen. Fyora and Naruto share a little smile when they catch Amaterasu's words. What's got you feeling so anxious? Are you interested in marrying my husband? You know what? You really should be more confident, don't you think? Fyora spoke in a calm manner. Amaterasu glances over at Fyora. I'm confident, but I know better than to walk into enemy territory unprotected. I just don't trust the gods of the underworld. She gave a chilly smile. Sounds like you've had some rough encounters with the underworld gods. Fyora said, a small, cold smile playing on her lips. You really have no clue. Amaterasu spoke in a distant manner. Naruto watched the conflict unfold with a calm smile on his face. I'm here to help. What do you need assistance with today? A few hours later, Naruto's mom's ship, Zod, was checking out the video of Naruto's battle with the gods. Our king is strong, but that's not quite right. Wow, our god is really powerful. Looks like that experiment actually worked. Our little emperor has somehow turned into our god, but I checked out Naruto's divine form. So, is this god the little emperor I made, or is he the ancient Rao? I'm not saying it's impossible that the two personalities might come together. I believe that time is what will provide me with the answers I'm looking for. I glance at my computer and notice a call from my king. I go ahead and accept it, then stand up. A hologram of Naruto pops up right in front of me. My king. I show my respect. Zod, you probably heard that the Shinto pantheon has invaded Mount Olympus territory. Right now, I just don't have the troops to take on a whole pantheon. I really need to figure out how to resolve this conflict through some negotiations. Absolutely, my lord. I express myself confidently. What do you need me to do? Naruto wore a cold, cruel smile, almost like a demon scheming something wicked. Even though this situation surprises me a bit, we can definitely still use some of my backup plans. I'm looking for all weapons of mass destruction to be aimed at Japan. If there's a war between the pantheons, we need to diminish the strength of the Shinto pantheon. I give a friendly smile and say, your wish is my command, my king. Great. It all depends on how the negotiations go. I'll head back to the mothership soon. I've put in a lot of time managing these gods, and I still need to get started on building my planet. He talked in a serious way. Absolutely, my lord. Are we ready to kick off the meeting? Hades talked in a calm, even tone, showing no emotion. He was dressed in a stylish black suit, and his long black hair was neatly tied back with a black ribbon. A meeting was just about to kick off in the palace of Mount Olympus. So, with the unexpected arrival of the Shinto pantheon and the surprise marriage proposal from the Supreme Queen Amaterasu, it was clear that a negotiation had to happen. You know, a wedding like this really needs a lot of prep ahead of time. Sure, let's get going. Naruto was chatting away while lounging in a fancy chair, and right beside him was Fyora, also enjoying her own plush seat. The king and queen of Olympus were all dressed up in their formal attire, since showing up to a meeting in armor just wouldn't do. Naruto was dressed in a red outfit adorned with golden embroidery, and he was sitting there, resting his head on his hands. He seemed pretty bored, but everyone there understood just how smart and dangerous this god really was. You look so beautiful, my love. Naruto whispered in Fyoora's ear. Fyora had a small, satisfied smile on her face. She was dressed in a blue dress that had a slightly dark hue, giving her the appearance of a cold queen, and she carried herself with a sense of pride. She's not really a dress person, but since it's a formal meeting, she understands the need to look presentable. Plus, her husband really liked the dress she chose. Amaterasu was sitting across the table, giving Naruto a steady gaze. Next to her was Hachiman, the queen's protector and the war god from Shinto mythology. Hades nods and starts to say, at the request of the supreme queen of the Shinto pantheon, Amaterasu Omikami. A meeting is about to kick off between the Greek pantheon and the Shinto pantheon. Naruto glances at Amaterasu and gives a little smile. I'm all ears. Amaterasu gives a small smile and says, I've got a simple proposal for you. I want to marry you. What if I'm not ready to get married? Naruto asked with a hint of curiosity. So, I guess I'll just take care of Mount Olympus then. She shut the fan and gave a chilly smile. Hades and Fyora exchanged glances, their eyes narrowing, but they stayed put, curious to see how Naruto would respond. Naruto chuckled softly, his eyes glimmering with a hint of red. He was chuckling, but you could see that he was actually pretty mad. Queen Amaterasu, you've heard from your spies what I'm like, haven't you? Amaterasu gives a little smile and asks, what are you talking about? Oh, so she's going to act like she's misunderstood, huh? Naruto was thinking about having a good time. Nix. Naruto snaps his fingers, and just like that, 4 guys drop onto the negotiating table. Right next to him, a stunning woman with black hair shows up. Amaterasu gazes at these men with a look of indifference. Do you recognize these guys? Naruto turned to Amaterasu and pointed at the guys with Japanese features, asking her about them. I'm not familiar with them. She brushed it off with that same smile on her face. Got it. Naruto nods, glancing at Nix, and says, kill them, in a chilly voice. They weren't much help, and Naruto already had all the info he needed about those spies. It was pretty clear that Amaterasu was lying. I mean, that's what spies do, right? If he gets caught, he's no good to anyone anymore. Whatever you wish, I'm here to make it happen, my lord. Nix pops up right in front of the guys, spreading her hands wide. Suddenly, a dark energy starts to swirl out from her palms. When the energy hit the men's bodies, they just disintegrated, leaving absolutely nothing behind, not even their souls. Naruto flashes a cold, demonic smile as he gazes at Amaterasu, noticing that the goddess wears the same familiar smile as always. But then, the mood shifted around her, and he glanced at Hachiman, noticing the god's cold, piercing gaze that seemed to promise death. He wasn't a fan of this vibe. The Japanese gods were acting like Naruto was some kind of lesser god, and that really rubbed him the wrong way. Naruto's eyes began to glow a vivid red, and a heavy atmosphere surrounded him as he stood at the center. Don't underestimate me, Lady Amaterasu, he declared. Do you really think I'm someone who doesn't understand what the gods are going through? Do you really think I'm scared to take on the entire Shinto pantheon? Hachiman jumps in front of Amaterasu, taking a defensive stance. Meanwhile, Naruto, sitting down, glances at Hachiman and says, kneel. The entire palace on Mount Olympus started to tremble, and Hachiman felt an immense weight pressing down on him. Despite being one of the mightiest gods in the Shinto pantheon, he found it hard to bear the force of a king god from 2 pantheons. The current Naruto is on a whole different level. Hachiman is kneeling on the floor, feeling overwhelmed by Naruto's pressure and humiliated. Naruto glanced at Hachiman and said, I'm not a fan of your eyes. Do you really think your queen is the strongest? Do you think she's unbeatable? You're like a little frog sitting at the bottom of a well, while out in the universe, there are countless beings who could take down Amaterasu with just a snap of their fingers. The Japanese god definitely knew this, but he truly believed that his queen was the strongest. That's it, Amaterasu eases up on her pressure, but Naruto just gazes at her with a hint of amusement. He doesn't feel a thing. Amaterasu narrows her eyes, and gradually, her hair begins to float upwards, while her eyes start to shine with a golden light. Slowly but surely, Amaterasu felt the pressure building up, but it still wasn't quite enough. The burden of being the king of 2 pantheons is definitely not something you can just shake off easily. Honey, you're really messing up the palace we just fixed up. Fyora chatted casually as she glanced around. You got it. Naruto eases off his pressure and grins at Amaterasu, saying, you really messed up by giving me time to rest. I might be few in number, but that definitely doesn't mean I'm weak. If you're looking for a fight, you'll get one, but just make sure you're ready for it. Naruto's eyes dimmed back to their usual blood red as he said, get ready to lose all your soldiers, because I won't go down without leaving a mark on the Shinto pantheon. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I'm thrilled you watched the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for even more exciting content coming your way soon.